ladies and gentlemen, friends and all, right? No, it's not working because I cut you off.
Oh, no!
No, should turn the other mic on. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
All right, cool. Just to have a chat. That's why we're here. Because we see, all of us, in the work that we do everywhere, that this is challenging. It's not easy to move to the cloud. There are some challenges and obstacles and things along the way. And I know for a fact I did a workshop today with several of you people here, and you had not done anything with the clouds, or some of you, right? So you're new to this and you're wondering, but you gotta go there. And that's the setup. What is challenging according to, I guess, us? And who's us? Well, we're gonna start with, I guess, Seth.
My name is Seth. I play in the cloud. I do AI and ML. I'm a cloud developer advocate at Microsoft. My job is to help everyone be successful in the cloud with AI.
With AI.
I am Damian. I'm also a cloud developer advocate. I have the same job description, help people be successful in the cloud, but I focus on DevOps.
Yep.
So the process of moving your stuff to the cloud and making sure you're doing the right stuff.
Automation and brilliant stuff. That's lovely.
Hello everybody, my name is Dux, and my job is to help you figure out how to better migrate to the cloud. So my focus is around data, unstructured data. Think file share, SharePoint, Lotus Notes. Anybody still using Lotus Notes? No? All right, bless your heart. And then how you move to the cloud safely and securely. Awesome. So we'd love to answer any questions that people have.
Are you getting beers as well? Oh, fantastic.
Dang.
We have service. That's fantastic. So, it is challenging, I guess. So to move to the cloud. So let's start over, I guess, and start with AI. So when we have AI, we have level up services basically on top of the cloud platform. But how do I know how to, when do I know how to use AI or the cloud, or is it or what do I do?
So there's a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah.
So the first question was, how do you know when to use AI?
Yeah.
So if you're a programmer and you've ever written an algorithm where you're trying to tweak numbers, or you have to add extra if statements, or you feel it's kind of squishy and you need to take a shower after you're done writing that code, that is prime candidate for AI, because you probably have a lot of data and you probably have some questions about that data. That's when you use AI. But now once you know you need to use AI, the question is, how is AI different?
Are you using the microphone? Is not working? Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you have to
point it.
shout.
I gotta go full rap mode.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Now the second thing, once you know you gotta use AI, you gotta figure out, well, how do I do it? Well, you could either use AI that's pre-built, you could customize pre-built AI, or you can build custom AI.
Okay.
So if you're going to do the first two, it's super easy because it's just cognitive services.
Right.
You just make a call and it's done. Or you add some pictures or some text or some voice, and then you're done. Now the tricky part is when you want to use custom AI.
Okay.
Because with custom AI, Damian knows this probably better than I do. When you're working with code, you got to be able to save the code somewhere. You got to be able to take it into a production pipeline.
Yep.
But now with AI, you not only don't have code, you have code, but you also have the parameters you put into it, and then you also have the data.
Yep.
And then you have to run the thing forever. And so the cloud really, oh goodness.
Fantastic.
The cloud really helps with compute, helps with data storage, it helps with managing experiments, and also helps with managing where you put the AI once it's done.
All right, I'll drink for that. Perfect. That's great. Now, automation. This is an area where I feel that people are severely lacking in general. We don't do it. We just go and right-click deploy from Visual Studio or something like that, right? But a little AI can go, a little DevOps can go a long way. Correct? So.
And I mean, that's one of the things that's probably worth clarifying as well, that DevOps is not just automation. Automation is a great way of enabling a good DevOps process. Automation is basically about getting humans away from the stuff that humans suck at. Because if you're deploying your application, let's say you're deploying to 3 web servers and you're deploying a microservice over here and you're deploying database changes over there, the manual process of picking up the changes that you've made, compiling them, making sure it's all okay, and then getting those artifacts into where they belong, so the 3 web servers and the database location and your microservice over here. That process is a bit painful. Like, you have to connect to these 3 different machines, copy files across, maybe change some configuration, do all of this stuff that takes a lot of time. And so automation improves that by A, stopping you from making those errors. You know, I'm going to do something different every time, but a script is going to do the same thing, you know, regardless of how many times I run it.
Yep.
But as well as that, the script's not going to make a mistake. So it's going to be more reliable, but it's also going to be faster. And that, to call back to Nicole's keynote this morning, she was mentioning that part of the power of the cloud is the ability to move at cloud speed, right? And if you're not doing DevOps properly, you still have these problems of this slow deployment process.
Yep.
And you're not taking true advantage of what the cloud offers you.
I agree.
Automation allows you to push stuff out really, really quickly. If something's broken, fix it, push out a fix. Don't,
That's
roll
right.
back and think about it.
So I have this, I perfectly agree. I have this saying that I use so in terms of resource management in the cloud. Because once you go beyond 50 resources, you're starting to get lost. Because you'll have whose database is that? That database over there. Who's owning this database? The way I like to put it is if you are uncomfortable deleting a resource group of your stuff, then you probably haven't automated enough, right?
Yep, that's good. I like that.
Right? Because if you know you can recreate that, right? Because I had this customer scenario the other week. They were upgrading the OS on Service Fabric on a scale set, and then also the Service Fabric version. They needed to roll that out, and they needed a new environment. And if you can't punch out a testing environment from a template, then you haven't automated enough.
I mean, it's a fantastic way of being able to test things thoroughly as well. If you have your whole environment, all the resources that you need, and all of that sort of stuff scripted, then you could, if you make a change that you need to test properly, you don't have to worry about, hang on, is our test environment up to speed with the changes that we've made? No. You just spin up a brand new test environment, run through all your testing, and then when you're done, you tear it down again.
Right. Yep, totally. No, I agree. You should be able to do that. You should be able to spin up testing environments and throw them away again. Absolutely right. So, Dux, I know that you are very interested in the space of identity. You tried to tell me stuff yesterday evening. I was like, come on, Dux. It's too late, and we've, so no.
A couple of drinks. Seth figured it out for me today.
So now I just started, so I've only had this much. Maybe I can really understand what you're trying to say today. We'll give it a shot. So identity, access, Azure, this is a big challenge. People are not doing this right.
Sure, so a couple of things, right? So it doesn't matter if you go to Office 365 or Azure.
Same thing.
The first step is making sure you set up, Azure AD. And depending on how complex or how simple, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of your on-prem AD environment, which is great. Yep. But I think that's the first thing people have to think about and consider and work on. Because once you have your Azure AD, and it's not that hard, but you got to do it right.
It's actually difficult not to get an Azure AD. You can't have Azure, you can't have O365 without having an Azure AD.
Correct, so you can't have anything.
You can't have anything.
I just presented a session in Office 365 groups. I go, this is all great and cool, but if you don't set up Azure AD, none of this matters, right?
That's right.
So make sure your identity is set up, and then the different things you can do with it. And obviously, if you want extended capabilities through Azure AD Premium, you can manage your groups and you can manage things like classification, labeling. So it's that's a great thing with Azure as a cloud platform. And a lot of people think, Azure, that's where I put my VMs or storage, but it's more than that. You got AI. And today, I don't know how many services are there in Azure. I can't keep up.
At least 150. It's
more.
It's
I think
plenty.
it's more.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. And so general question, and either one of you guys can pick this up. In terms of the industry now, it's moving fast, and cloud is growing like never before, and maybe we'll see how long it's going to grow fast, but it is right now. And in terms of adoption, it's growing very fast as well. So another really big challenge that I hear a lot is that people are slow in their cloud approach because they don't have the right skill set or experience. This is another big challenge. What do you do when Like you guys are basically all about teaching people how to use cloud. What do you do? Because you don't have the skills on hand.
I don't know what I'm doing either.
Well, fair.
So, and I say this with all seriousness because we will come out with a new service tomorrow or the day after.
And this is serious.
And I won't know how to use it. And so what we do is we go and we use it.
Ah.
And then we go and tell everybody else, here's how we used it.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know how to do this, go do it.
Go do it.
And then if it doesn't work the way you think it should work, that's when you email us. And then we're like, oh, you thought it would be easier this way, so
Sure.
we'll go fix it so it's easier that way, right?
Sure.
Look, nobody knows how to do this stuff. Sure, it's a little more mature now, and there's some things that are pretty ingrained, but a lot of this stuff is really new.
Yeah, it is, and that's a bit of a challenge. Yeah, you can add to that.
No, what I want to say though is, unlike technologies before, true, there's more services, but the cloud makes it so easy. I mean, I'd never have dreamt in my whole life that I'll be using machine learning and AI, right? I mean, 10 years ago, it's the stuff I dream of. I'm like,
So
I
now
wish
you're
I was
dreaming of it?
Yeah, I'm like, I wish I was really smart. I can write some cognitive services code, but it's there.
Fair.
Like Lewis and Bot, so it's not that hard, but you got to do it.
I just want to add to that as well. If you're a developer and you have a Visual Studio Enterprise license like assigned to you, you have, I think it's, well, actually, we're not in America, so I don't know how much it is. It's like $160 US a month of Azure credit that is tied to that account.
Well, more than that, because it's actually very heavily discounted. Those subscriptions, so those $160 will last you longer.
That sounds a lot like something I should know. Anyway, the point is Microsoft is giving you money, and if you're a developer and you have that subscription, that is for you to go and play with stuff. Like just go and spin things up, try it out, and then tear them down at the end. Like
True. You can never go wrong actually, because if it counts down to 0 each month, and if you hit 0, it's just going to shut your stuff down.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't go wrong.
Seth and I are quite cloud privileged in that Scott Guthrie pays for our stuff, but I also have a VS Enterprise license that I run some of my own stuff on. Just like little demo sites and things that are not connected with work. If I want to go and play with the cognitive services stuff, then I'll just go and spin it up and have a play with it. That money's not coming out of my pocket. That's money that we're giving you. And if you're not using it, if you're not using it, you're just throwing that money back to us.
That's right.
That's good.
Actually, I've seen that a lot, and that's one. It's not an adoption blocker per se, but I see it very often that companies have, they have a set of, 10, 15, 20, I don't know how many licenses they have like that, and which means that they can spin up like 20 subscriptions, but they just don't, because it's just, they cannot figure out how to enable access to all of them and make sure that we share them across the teams or similar. So I see actually a lot of companies that are using a paid subscription to run development and testing on when they sit on a bunch of licenses where they're already paying for that resource. They're paying for a lot of it and they're just not using what they're already paying for. In fact, I believe that those of people who have stocks in Microsoft are just saying thank you very much. You're giving free money to Microsoft at that point, and that's just not good.
Oh, did you say giving money to Microsoft is just not good?
Free money, I said.
Oh, free money. It's different.
It's different. No.
Yeah. So to answer your question, just nobody knows. So go try something. If it doesn't work the way you think it should, then you let us know and we fix it.
That's right. And a powerful part about that in Azure, in fact, is that it's actually, if you're just testing something, if you take a new resource group and deploy whatever that is into that resource group, it doesn't matter what it is, you cannot influence or hurt or destroy anything else that is running in that subscription. It's impossible. You cannot really go wrong. If you deploy something and it looks funky and you don't want it anymore, there's a nice delete button. You just delete the whole resource group, all the resources go with it, and it's like it was never there. It's just gone. So brilliant. So what else is challenging? What do you guys think is challenging in, we want to fly in the cloud. I don't know how to fly. How do I learn? What are the obstacles on my way there?
I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
The first obstacle is really just inertia, which is the physics of getting something moving.
That's
The
right.
easiest way to do it is to do the dumbest thing first. So for example, if you have an app running on a server on your machine, just start a new server in the cloud and move it over and see how that goes.
All right.
Once that works, then you're like, okay, well, I have SQL installed on that VM and I have my web app installed on that VM. Let me try separating out SQL and doing SQL as a managed service.
All right.
Right? And then you remove, then you now you have your VM and your SQL, but your web app now just talks to your SQL thing. And then you're like, okay, yeah, that worked.
Yep.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the web app out and see if I can just put it like into a web app, into an app service web app. Great, that works. So now you're thinking, okay, now I want to separate out things into little microservices. If you even need to, because you might be able to stop at the VM. You might be able to stop at the you separate out SQL server. You might be able to stop at an app service. But now if you want to keep going, what you do is then you do the containerization. And so it's really easy to just start with the dumbest thing first and then move on. But the thing is, there's this fear. That's really the thing that's hard, overcoming that fear. Like, at minimum, start a VM up and put your app there and see if it works. It likely will.
It's actually very likely that it will work quite well. Good call.
Well, kind of related to that, right? There's common things like your VM. Storage is another thing. I mean, a quick hit is Azure file storage. Yeah. It's like kill your network shares and move it up there. So start with these simple things and then start looking at the advanced things and play with it from a perspective of the possibilities of things you can do. Like, I never thought I could use, like you're saying, using machine learning to crunch numbers and do some predictive analytics. Those are the things that you can never do on-prem, but now the options are there that can give you true business results. So,
Yeah, I think tagging onto that, part of the issue is awareness as well. We were just talking about how there's 100 and something Azure services right now. It's not a single event like this that I don't go to where I demonstrate something that Azure can do or that Visual Studio Team Services can do. And I don't get somebody coming to me saying, I did not know that Azure could do that. So the Azure Functions is a great example. I mean, you might spin up an entire web application just to expose a web API that runs a little bit of code and returns a value. If you didn't know about Azure Functions, you might not know that there's another option. Which is why exploring this stuff is really, really handy. So when you see the problem, you can say, well, actually, that problem might be really easily solved using this feature. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Brilliant. So do we have any audience questions? Is anyone in the audience keen to, we have this challenge, or we're trying to approach the cloud, and we're having the following, challenges ahead? I guess maybe not. People are eating. No, it's fine. But if you do, feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and we'll just bring them up. You have a question? Oh, brilliant! We have a question. Wow, I'm coming right over.
Currently, we are infrastructure and service. We are interested to move in PaaS. My question is about when we are moving to the PaaS. There's .NET Core and .NET. So how to decide where to go, which one to select in this between .NET Core and...
Okay, that's a brilliant question. So when you're moving, right, you're moving between maybe more traditional. Should we call them classic? Yes, let's go with classic, as in applications running on an infrastructure service, and now you want to move to a more fancy, modern platform service, maybe containerized. How do you know which path to go?
So I'll take this because we were just talking. Jasmine Greenaway is my PSC. She was standing up there. She is the cloud developer advocate who we should ask about this specifically.
Oh, right.
Her focus is .NET, but in her absence, I'm going to butcher a response instead. So you were talking about when to move to .NET Core, for example, and when to move to platform as a service instead of infrastructure as a service. So is that basically correct?
More.
I think I paraphrased wrong. Yeah.
No, my question is, should we consider like .NET Core or like the .NET? How to differentiate between both of them? Like,
So
which
Jasmine
one
would know that, yeah. The answer that I usually give to this is that you don't have to move off .NET, like the full framework stuff. You don't have to, but moving off .NET to .NET Core gives you some additional advantages. Things like being able to run on Linux, being able to run in like really lightweight containers and things like that. But if you don't need to do that, if all you're doing is running your web apps on IIS on Windows machines, there's not really that much advantage moving to .NET Core yet. Having said that, the real difference between the different versions of .NET Core and .NET Standard, I think it's Standard, .NET Framework, is what libraries are available to you. So .NET Core, traditionally .NET Core 1.0, for example, it had a certain number of libraries and a certain number of APIs that were available to you there. .NET 2 added a ton of new APIs, which means you can do a lot more in .NET Core. .NET Core 2.1 adds even more. So we're starting to close that gap of the things that you can't do in Core versus the things that you need the full framework. So the short answer is you don't have to move. If all you're doing is running on like ASP.NET IIS, for example, on Windows machines, there's no real incentive to move. But if you want to take advantage of some of the cross-platform stuff, performance, things like that, then that's when you might want to start looking at it.
Yeah, but you can totally get good performance with a more like standardized API or something like in .NET, full .NET on an app service. That goes a long way. So yeah.
But .NET Core is actually really fast. Like it's like top 4 of all of them, right? And so, I mean, if you already have a huge investment in .NET code you've already written, I would just start with that. The cool thing is with .NET, there's this thing called Net Standard, which says this is what .NET should implement. And there is the Windows full framework that implements it, and then there's the .NET Core framework that will do that. And then when you're looking at ASP.NET Core, that's a different subset library altogether. And so it really depends on if you want to rewrite, then you can do that. But if you already have a significant, I probably wouldn't move right now until it became necessary.
And there's this whole other axle here about the moving to like microservices. Like if you're able to start to decompose the monolith, as the popular phrase goes, if you're able to do that, start maybe making a new, like taking one feature, one part of the system out, and maybe refactoring that over into .NET Core and running that, then you slowly but surely you're going away from the old .NET and monolithic approach and going, I guess, more modern in a sense.
But from my perspective, I don't care what you run as long as you run it in Azure. I'm happy.
There you go.
You can run Perl if you want. I don't know if anyone still do Perl. It's horrible.
Perl.
PHP is great. Use PHP. You want to use Java? We also support Java. CGI bin.
CGI bin.
You can go old school Perl CGI bin. That's right.
That's awesome. So I want to take this in one more direction before we close out. And that is different. I can talk technology all day, all night, every week. But the cultural change, that is actually, I've seen very stifling in organizations to try to grasp the change that might be. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but I've seen scenarios where it's difficult to actually get moving because we used to be a product company. We used to ship product, install with our customers, give them support, build update packages, go and install those and so forth. And now all of a sudden, do we have to be, or must we now change to become a service company? And maybe we might actually want to do that, but how? This can be tough.
So first things first, I don't miss Patch Tuesdays.
You don't miss them.
No, so I don't know anybody who loves patching on Tuesdays, right? so from my perspective, it's just a natural evolution of maturity of an industry. It affords me the opportunity to step up my game. Now, given if that's something I'm not keen on, I'm interested in, then maybe I could go work at a data center, right? Or work for Microsoft and take care of the patching.
Yep.
But I think it's a great opportunity to be a service provider. From an organizational perspective, I can be perceived as a partner to the business versus, it's IT again. They're clamping down everything. But I can't have this new solution and whatnot. So I think it's a good thing, and we're a partner to be a business enabler. And from a change perspective, yeah, it's a change on how you think about providing the service, right?
But this could be a change in the entire org.
100%.
All of it.
And that's what digital transformation is all about.
Yeah.
It's not just this buzzword that, oh, Microsoft wants to push it. Every company, because of technology and software, has this great opportunity to compete now because of the cloud. So I think all in all it's a good thing.
But how do we do it? I mean, what kind of change agents do we need to like get this going? I don't know if you're gonna address that, but
So this is an interesting thing. Microsoft's gone through this change itself.
Yeah, it has.
One of the teams that does it and does it quite well these days is the Visual Studio Team Services team.
Right.
And they, from about 2006 onwards, they were moving from a boxed product, Team Foundation Server, which got released every 3-ish years, to a cloud-hosted Visual Studio Team Services service.
Massive change.
Yeah, huge change. It gets released every 3 weeks. Now, even if they weren't doing a hosted product, the advantages they've got just by changing that culture and changing that process are amazing. They basically roll up all of those 3 weekly changes every 3 months and put that into Team Foundation Server, and that's Team Foundation Server. So all of the advantages of being able to move fast, like a cloud cadence they call it.
So they're running the project Team Foundation Server, Visual Studio Team Services on Visual Studio Team Services?
Yeah, the Visual Studio Team Services team, they plan, build, and release Visual Studio Team Services using Visual Studio Team Services. And even more interesting, the first deployment, so they're deploying these different rings, so certain people get the release first. The first ring, or ring 0, is the VSTS instance that is currently deploying VSTS.
Wow.
It's like changing the engine on the airplane while the plane is flying.
While the plane is flying, yeah.
But they get this stuff working, and it's taken a long, long time to get to that maturity. And a lot of cultural changes. I would highly recommend, if you're interested in this, aka.ms/DevOps.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of stuff on the
They've
story.
written a bunch of stuff on this, like their experience in this change, in this, right? It's
And it's a good story.
It's
just not-
transformation.
it's a transformative story over a long period of time. But
Yeah, good.
That stuff's really easy.
Yeah, good call. I've read some of that, and that's very interesting stuff indeed. Seth, what do you think, organizational-wise?
I think we need to move away from fighting customers to providing value to them.
Aha!
And the faster we do that, the better. So we are in the business of unifying people, process, and products to continuously deliver value to the user. Did I get that right?
Like a line. Is that an official line? Someone?
Almost word for word, Microsoft's DevOps definition.
Oh, DevOps definition. Okay, brilliant. Do you have is that like a creed or something?
Well, no, it's like if we don't deliver value to our customers, someone else will before us, and you are going to be toast. And so if we are going to be antagonistic and say no, we'll put some out once a year, or we're going to make your patch experience horrible, or you have to change for us, you're going to eventually go extinct, like the dinosaurs, right?
All right.
And so the idea is we either change in order to provide value to our customers faster, or someone else will, and that's just the way of business.
All right. That's brilliant, actually. We should almost close with that. But final words, if you have any, and then it's time to close, and we have another panel coming up, so let's plug that. It's your panel.
Yeah, so final close is just like what everybody said is just go do it, right? Start with a simple workload, and then don't go too crazy on, I want to start doing AI and bots and machine learning. I mean, you can learn all that, no big deal, but you got to start showing something and start taking simple workloads and moving into the cloud.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but do one thing at a time. Find something that might be better in the cloud. Move that. Just try it out.
Definitely automate them, though. Come on. I mean, that has to work.
But even with automation, don't pick up your entire application. Try to automate the whole thing. We should have production. Pick one small thing, try that out, iterate on it, make sure you're actually doing the right stuff, and then move on to the next hard thing. Or the next hardest thing.
It may sound like the least appealing part of it, but let's start getting a few Azure bills. Let's prove that you actually use it, right? Just it needs small in the beginning, baby steps. Good call.
Yeah, just go and do something. Start today. Go start up something, play with something, run something. You all probably have credit. because of your subscriptions. Just do something today, and then you'll be able to do another thing tomorrow. And then by next week, you'll be a blockchain AI cloud expert making millions of dollars.
There you go. So Dux is going to be busy with the next panel. These two gentlemen will probably not be equally busy because they're going to like stand next to the stage looking at the panel. If you want to come over to them and like talk more one-on-one, that's what they're here for. Take a selfie with the like celebs, right? Dev celeb 1 and 2 right here. Then do so. I want to thank you guys for being here, for listening. We've had a nice sizable audience eating food, drinking, and listening to us. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'll be here as well today, tomorrow. Ask the experts. Come up and see me. Thank you for being with us.